Story 1. Long-haul trucking or constant travel jobs often involve long periods of driving and can be demanding. Individuals in these roles typically spend many hours on the road, which requires high levels of concentration and stamina to ensure safety and timely delivery of goods. These positions are crucial for the transportation of items across vast distances, playing a key role in the supply chain and distribution networks. Comment 1. Trust me, however much you think it sucks 1,000 times more. Comment 2. I've been over the road trucking for the past year, and my family still tells me to get a girlfriend all the time. I'm like, bro, I'm literally never home. Why would I do that to someone? Comment 3. My job requires me to move countries every 6 to 24 months. There is no way on earth it could work if my wife wasn't in the same line of work. Sometimes I hate it for the lack of stability, but I'm grateful I've met someone who's able to put up with it. Comment 4. My uncle was a long-haul trucker. He would earn 1 day a week at home for every 6 days of driving. Then, he was at the mercy of the dispatcher to route him near his house, or it was out of his pocket to drive the truck home without a trailer. He would be out for a couple of weeks and then spend a couple of short days at home. I have no idea how his third marriage has lasted 25 years. Now that he is retired, she jokes that she wishes he was back on the road. And yes, she is legitimately joking. They are happy together and spend a lot of time doing things together and traveling. Story 2. Pilots and flight attendants. Irregular hours and long periods away from home can make maintaining a stable relationship challenging. Comment 1. I am an airline pilot, and it is definitely a challenge. However, I do get 16 to 17 days off a month, so I am home a lot when I am home, and I don't bring work home with me. Comment 2. Funnily enough, someone I knew broke up with a pilot who basically expected his partner to follow him around the world completely. Also, we'll turn on location tracking, so you know when I've landed quickly became very unhealthy. Comment 3. I feel it applies less to pilots and flight attendants than to truck drivers. Flying crew members can return within 24 hours or even the same day on most occasions. It's an irregular schedule for sure, but you're not away from home for that long. Now, truck drivers can be gone 1 to 2 weeks at a time. Comment 4. Unfortunately, it's true. Being a flight attendant can be a lonely existence. Speaking as one, yes, turnaround trips are a thing, going and coming back the same day, but there's a limited number of them and it depends on your seniority as well as where you're based. Story 3. Film and television workers. Brutal on families and partners. Comment 1. Concert touring is an industry where kids grow up barely knowing their parents, and the rate of divorce is insanely high. Not to mention the high stress, high rates of mental health issues, and high rates of suicide. Comment 2. As someone who works in the industry, this is absolutely true. I'm lucky to have a steady 9-to-5 job with bosses who really value family time, but many of my friends have no stability at all. They work insane hours, are constantly worried about what their next job is going to be, and so on. It's too much and makes having families extremely difficult. I really don't know how they handle it. Comment 3. Definitely seen my share of relationships and marriages destroyed by it. Comment 4. Yes, I'll start dating someone between gigs when I have all the time in the world. No matter how much I explain to them that I'll be a ghost when I'm on a job, and they insist they understand and it's fine, they don't, and it never is. Story 4. Read the text below and correct the spelling errors. Search and replace all acronyms. Correct punctuation. Remove special characters and links to best suit Azure text-to-speak AI. No typing. Text. Actor. No money. On the off chance that they do make money, it's because they are famous, which sucks for you. Comment 1. My fiancé and I are both actors. We wouldn't have any money if it weren't for the fact that we both have freelance side gigs. We also wouldn't work if we weren't decent people. My ex is also an actor. He isn't famous but has a lot of work and a side gig. It was extremely difficult. I can't even describe it. He was stingy, greedy, felt superior to everyone else, and was always critical of me and my work even if I didn't ask him. He was also emotionally unavailable because of his massive ego. Overall, I do not recommend dating an actor unless 1. You're also an actor, 2. They are a decent person and so are you, 3. You both have the same level of fame. Comment 2. There's a small sliver of actors who work steadily and make a decent living but aren't super recognizable. Maybe they're that guy who you may kind of remember from something but would never know their name. However, the vast majority aren't making a living at acting. Comment 3. I'm kind of seeing a guy who is an actor right now, and yes, it's a big contributor to my indecision. I've tried to think of tactful ways to ask, hey, so is this going to be your lifelong career? Or are you going to get a day job at some point? Comment 4. Being the partner of an actor is tough. While some sources say some do enjoy sitting on a couch and watching their partner having sex with a stranger, I don't think it's funny at all. Story 5. I think it would be difficult for me to date a person involved in the bar scene. I work a standard 8 to 5. My free time to do anything fun is on weekends. They work from 6 in the evening to 2 in the morning on weekends and are pretty flexible midweek. But even then, they work many weekday nights and even spend their free time at their bar or their friends' bars. It's a lifestyle I just can't live, even when I really have strong feelings for someone. Comment 1. I was working a bar job when I met a girl who worked at a bank with regular 9 to 5 hours. We hit it off, but the mismatch in schedules was horrible. I realized pretty quickly I had a choice to make. I made the jump to an office job and never looked back. Coming up on 20 years married now. There's no way we would still be together if I had stayed in hospitality. Comment 2. The restaurant industry is affected as well. My wife was a server early in our relationship, and if she wanted to make any actual money, it meant picking up dinner shifts on Friday and Saturday night. This is detrimental to your social life. Granted, she was usually off around 11 p.m., and the post-work restaurant staff parties were legitimate. Comment 3. Bartenders here are mostly working from 22 to 6 o'clock, 6 days a week. This schedule is completely incompatible with someone having a daytime job, so I can see why people in this industry often date each other. Comment 4. I dated a guy who worked in a kitchen at a popular local restaurant. I worked a flexible but pretty standard remote job around 2017. He never knew when he was getting off work. It might be 8:30 or it could be 10 o'clock, followed by a 45-minute commute, depending on how busy they were. I was lucky that I could tailor much of my work around his schedule, except for meetings, but it was still rough. Especially when I had 9 a.m. meetings and would stay at his place until 2 o'clock or 3 a.m. or stay over and have to hustle to get home in the morning. Story 6. If I've learned anything from Scooby-Doo, it's that janitors and art curators are villainous and shifty. I don't trust them. Comment 1. Ironically, a janitor might be the best answer for the opposite of this prompt. Good pay, regular hours, you do not usually work weekends, and in my experience, they are almost always humble and kind people. Just do not hug them until after they have showered and changed, and you're golden. Comment 2. But isn't it odd how meddlesome kids are the only ones who seem to have a problem with them? Comment 3. It's really always landlords and wealthy people. Comment 4. Also, zookeepers and ship captains are a hard pass. Story 7. Nobody said, accountant, let's go. Comment 1. The other day, I mentioned a work issue in vague terms, and my boyfriend was inquiring for more details. I saw the light leave his eyes as I explained the minutiae of the project. We have been dating for 2 years. You would think he would know better by now. Comment 2. Even better auditor. My partner was so worried about me when I woke up at 3 a.m. to cram more work during the busy season. And overall, we had much less time together. Comment 3. Our partners are so lucky to have us. We have our finances on lock, ensuring that we are always on top of our budgeting, investments, and taxes. It is like having a personal financial advisor at home. We are super responsible and organized, so everything just runs smoothly. We are always set for smart decisions and future planning. Feel so secure and well taken care of. Comment 4. Dated a woman who was a partner at Klinveld Piet Marwick Gordeler. Lots of extravagant parties and then alcoholic tendencies to cope with the work stress. It was not a fun experience. Story 8. Please provide the text you would like me to correct and adjust for Azure Text-to-Speech AI. Comment 1. I hate how they are called influencers. 99.9% of them aren't influential at all. Comment 2. This is for me. I had a college friend who turned into an influencer. He still has his regular job, but his whole dive into influencing feeds into his rather severe narcissistic tendencies. He is pretty judgmental, never satisfied, condescending, and always seemingly not enjoying the moment because he wants to capture things on film. It is exhausting, and after 2 or 3 toxic blow-ups with him, I cut him off for now. I am pretty sure he does not have a single real friend in his life anymore and deals with depression. I realized I am no longer interested in pandering to his needs and wants. Comment 3. Imagine you peeling a boiled egg on a bad hair day while your influencer partner is filming you. Comment 4. Right? Not that I think it's a bad job or anything, but I would be constantly cringing. My whole existence would be one big cringe every time I have to hear my partner saying, "Hey guys, just kill me already." Story 9. Anything involving constant travel or irregular hours. Comment 1. An underrated answer to this exact comment is automotive/motorsport engineer. You're either working nearly 10 to 12 hours a day in a tiny cubicle trying to design a part or conducting some sort of simulation test, so hours are pretty long and will get worse during crunch periods before a new car launch. There's also the chance you'll be sent to someplace near the Arctic or the Sub-Sahara to do vehicle testing in extreme temperature climates for weeks on end with very short notice. Or even worse, if you work for a foreign car brand, there's constant travel to the brand's home country, and if there's a special project, you may just end up being chosen to go to that country at very short notice for 6 to 12 months at a time. This, in turn, completely uproots your family life, as you'll either have to leave them behind or take them with you. And then you'll still be doing the same 10 to 12 hours as first mentioned, just in a different country. It's hell on families, and it's said that the divorce rate of Formula One engineers who travel to races is extremely high, like 60% or something from what I've heard, and that actually put me off from working in Formula One and instead focusing on passenger cars, but like mentioned, it's not great. Comment 2. I am a civil engineer who is constantly traveling around the country to projects and conferences. I am actually traveling home right now after another week away. I normally achieve my Hilton Diamond status by May or June each year. My wife is in law enforcement. Statistically, we should have never made it the 20 years we have been together. We manage, but it's really hard sometimes. I think the key for us is to make a real effort to make the most of the time we are in the same zip code together. Comment 3. Before my husband and I met, he had a job that required 90% travel. He worked in sales and training for a software company, so his days were spent at various offices, and his evenings involved dinners and nights out. His area was the Midwest, so it wasn't as if he was traveling anywhere particularly exciting or fun. The job paid well, and the company was great, but he simply burned out after about 3 years. He would wake up and not even remember where he was because, after a while, every city and every hotel room starts to look exactly the same. He also couldn't form any meaningful relationships because of the constant travel. So, he moved back to where he grew up because he got a job through his connections at his previous company. That job involved 10% travel, with most of it relatively local. We met about a year later because he actually had the time and effort to invest in finding and maintaining a relationship, and the rest is history. Story 10. Certainly, let's refine the provided text for a better text-to-speech experience with Azure AI. Since the text provided was a brief introduction and didn't contain any acronyms, spelling errors, special characters, links, or punctuation issues as per your directive, I'll reformat it for clarity. Anything in the entertainment industry. If there are additional details or specific content you'd like to include or modify, please let me know. Comment 1. It can sound so dreamy from the outside. I won't end up going off the rails like those other stars, and I won't be corrupted by greed and fame until they either do exactly that or quit because they haven't made any progress. Very few can be happy in such an industry. Comment 2. So don't become a juggler. Got it. Comment 3. I feel like that's a person-to-person thing. If you can check your ego, addictions, greed, and anything else that would allow ill-intentioned people to manipulate you, and you don't have crazy people who consume what you create, it's probably pretty wonderful. Comment 4. My fiancé and I are both actors. Can get hard but not impossible. We are now doing theater together, so we do spend time with each other. However, we have had to give up certain opportunities for the sake of our household's health. Story 11. Careers that involve regular travel or extremely long hours, such as piloting or becoming a corporate executive, might be difficult in a serious relationship. If you're constantly on the move or too busy to spend quality time together, it can strain the bond and make it difficult to sustain a healthy relationship. Comment 1. Agreed. I once had a job that I really liked as a traveling information technology consultant. Essentially, my company would rent me to another company for a specific amount of time for particular projects, or maybe just to fill in when they were short-staffed due to vacations, maternity leave, or something similar. My typical week involved flying out to the client's city on Sunday night and working from 9 to 5, Monday through Thursday. I would then catch a late flight home on Thursday night. I got to travel and see lots of cool places on the company's dime. Sometimes I would even stay the weekend and explore the town instead of going home. The pay was great too, and because the company paid for travel, food, and such, I saved a lot of money. I also saved a lot on an apartment. I was only home on Friday, Saturday, and part of Sunday. So, I rented a spare bedroom from a friend in his house for $400 per month. After a few years of this, though, I realized that if I kept working this job, I could never build a life. I spent more time in random cities than I did where I actually lived. How was I supposed to meet a girl, fall in love, get married, and so on? So, I got a more regular job and an apartment of my own. Comment 2. The oil field has unsurprisingly been brutal for this. Stay in school, kids. I know I can go back, but it would be pretty tough managing to find a proper job while seriously pursuing an entirely different degree than what I dropped out of. Comment 3. I don't know, my stepdad was a pilot when he and my mom met. My mom can get anxious when she feels suffocated, so I think they really enjoy his schedule of 4 days at home and 3 days away. It was definitely hard when my youngest brother was born, but I was old enough, and my mom had plenty of friends who would help her out during those 3 days when she was at work. Yes, this dynamic isn't for most people, but the separation, he's gone less than half the week. Makes us better because we're all quite annoying, haha. Comment 4. Man, these comments make me realize I'm going to die alone as an airline pilot. Separation can be good sometimes. Our trips are never longer than 3 to 4 days, and once you have decent seniority, you can be home more than a 9-to-5 worker would. I've been at my airline for not even a year, and I already hold 15 to 16 days off a month, with at least one weekend day every week. I also make crazy amounts of money for my age range, $95,000 as a first-year regional first officer. And if my girlfriend wants something nice, I can add a little out and back turn at the end of a trip and make an extra $500 to $600 in a couple of hours.